Hello everyone, I welcome you to my YouTube channel Professor Civil Mandal. Here I speak about civil engineering and you will find my various video lectures regarding various topics of civil engineering over here.
So this is the fifth chapter related to hydrology, and this is the seventh part of the video lessons which we are going through on engineering hydrology. And in this chapter we are going to read about the infiltration, and it is actually that whenever some amount of water which is present on the surface of the earth percolates inside or seeps inside the ground, it is known as the infiltration. So the definition is also somehow like that: the process of entering rainwater into the soil strata is called infiltration. So the process by which the rainwater is going to enter inside the soil strata is known as the infiltration. So the infiltrated water first meets the soil moisture deficiency, if any, and excess water moves vertically downwards to reach the ground table. This vertical motion is called percolation. So there is some difference between the infiltration and percolation, that whatever amount of water that is going inside the soil strata is known as the infiltration. The infiltrated water first meets the soil moisture deficiency, if any, and excess water moves vertically downwards to reach the groundwater table. This is called the vertical movement is known as the percolation. So infiltration is the movement of rainwater, and apart from rainwater, if there is some other excess water, that is known as percolation. For example, whatever it happens in the case of ponds or oceans, the water which is going to the soil from the ocean or the pond is known as the percolation. But for the case of rain, it is known as infiltration. So to determine that how much water is getting infiltrated into the soil, we are introducing a term known as the infiltration capacity. So the infiltration capacity is defined as the maximum rate at which it is capable of absorbing water and is denoted by F. So what we are doing, that whatever amount is going inside the ground, inside the water, inside the soil, you can say. So we are trying to measure the rate, that as to how much volume is going or getting seeped inside the earth in some given space of time. So this will be known as our infiltration rate. So whenever this infiltration rate will be maximum, it is known as the infiltration capacity of the soil. So the infiltration capacity of the soil is defined as the maximum rate at which it is capable of absorbing water and is denoted by the letter F. So the maximum rate is known as the infiltration capacity. So if I is equal to F, I, as you know, I is equal to the rate of rainfall. So I we are considering as the rate of rainfall, and see one more thing, Fa is the actual infiltration capacity. So it actually varies from different soil or different you can say different rainfall conditions or moisture conditions. Okay, so Fa is the actual infiltration capacity and F is the infiltration capacity. It is actually F is the maximum infiltration capacity that we are having for a soil. Fa is the actual infiltration capacity. So you can one way say that F or the infiltration capacity is the theoretical thing that which we are calculating, that this much can be the infiltration capacity, and Fa, that is the actual infiltration capacity, is the practical thing, that practically how much amount of water to the maximum rate can be seeped inside the ground. So that is our actual infiltration capacity. So using these terms Fa, I, F, we are doing some comparison, that if I is equal to or greater than F, or you can say if I is greater than equal to F, then Fa is equal to F, depends upon soil capacity. So depending upon the soil capacity, so we can say that FA, that is the actual infiltration capacity, is equal to the infiltration capacity if and only if the rate of rainfall is greater than equal to the infiltration capacity of that particular soil. So what will happen if the rainfall rate is less? Then FA is equal to I, that is the actual infiltration capacity is the rate of the rainfall. So a particular soil, you can say that it has a particular amount of infiltration capacity. Let us suppose that I am saying one arbitrary number, that the infiltration capacity of a particular soil is 20. Okay, suppose it is 20. I am not mentioning any unit or anything. I am just telling that infiltration capacity of that particular soil is 20. Okay. Now, if any case the rainfall is 20 or 30 or 40, whatever it can be, that is greater than or equal to 20. That is I, that is the rainfall, rate of rainfall is greater than equal to the infiltration capacity. Okay. So if it is greater than 20, so that amount that will be the actual infiltration will be equal to the infiltration capacity only. Okay, so the actual infiltration in any case cannot be greater than the infiltration capacity, because infiltration capacity is the maximum. So suppose if there is one student who can study 3 subjects in one day, suppose a student is able to study 3 subjects in one day, but you are asking him to study 4 subjects. Will he be able to study? Of course not. He will be studying those 3 subjects only. But if in any case, if you are telling, okay dear, you please read these 2 subjects or this 1 subject, he will be easily able to easily be able to read that subject. So in other words, if his mother asks that how much have you read today, so if the teacher is giving him 4 subjects to read, he will be able to read 3 subjects and he will tell his mother that today I read 3 subjects. But if his teacher gives him 2 subjects, his capacity is of reading 3 subjects, he is capable of reading 3 subjects, but his teacher has given him 2 subjects to read. So what will he report to his mother? He will tell that, Mom, today I have read 2 subjects only. So this is how the infiltration capacity is dependent upon the rate of rainfall. So if the rate of rainfall, just as we were speaking the previous example, if it is somehow greater than 20, so as the infiltration capacity of the soil is 20 only, the actual infiltration capacity will also be 20. That only 20 will be the amount which will be getting infiltrated, the rate that will be infiltrated. Okay, if anyhow the rainfall is somehow the rate of rainfall is 10, so the infiltration that will be taking place will be 10 only. Some additional 10 will not be coming from 10 amount of water will not be coming from other source so as to add this. So it is infiltration, as you know, is totally dependent upon the rainfall. So if it is 10, then the actual infiltration will also be 10. It will no way be greater than 10 or will be 20, because as we said that infiltration capacity is 20, it will no way it will be able to supply 20 rate of rainfall if it is 20 rate of infiltration if it is having a 10 rate of rainfall at that particular time. So this was about the infiltration capacity. If you are having any doubt, you can post in the comment section. Now to discuss it further, for dry soil the infiltration rate F is more. For moist soil, infiltration rate F is less. Any guesses? Try to pause the video and think that why is it happening that for dry soil the F is more, infiltration rate is more, and for the moist soil the infiltration rate is less. Please pause the video and think about this. So now I hope you have given some thought process to this, that why is the dry soil having more rate of infiltration or why is the moist soil having less rate of infiltration. So the more rate of infiltration is because the dry soil, okay, so the rate of infiltration for dry soil is more because the dry soil is devoid of any water particles or water molecules inside it. So there is no such amount of water present inside the dry soil. But for moist soil, there is some amount of water present inside it already. So therefore, the rate of the infiltration will certainly be lesser in the case of the moist soil. So suppose if some soil is already somehow it is filled with as you know that soil is a somehow porous material, and those pores are filled up with some amount of water. Okay, some amount, to some extent it is filled out with some water. So what will happen if some additional water or the rainfall water is coming? Of course, it won't be able to put that much amount of, or that much rate will not be possible in a moist soil. But for dry soil, it is totally open. The pores are totally vacant. So it will be easy for the rainwater to easily seep through the soil. So therefore, the dry soil will be having more infiltration rate, whereas the moist soil will be having less infiltration rate. The maximum rate of water absorption by soil is the infiltration capacity. We read the definition just ago. Just to give a brief idea, just in bullet point you can write in your notes that maximum rate of water absorption by soil is the infiltration capacity. Also, you need not to worry about the notes. There is one link in the description that will be giving you the notes of this particular chapter. But I will suggest you to first go through the video and understand whatever I am explaining you, because it will be easy for you to understand that note very easily if you are once going through this particular video. The maximum capacity of water absorption by soil is the field capacity. Now, infiltration rate is the maximum rate of water absorption. And now if we are asking of the maximum capacity, that how much? Previously, infiltration rate capacity is the rate is to means up to in one particular span of time, what will be the maximum amount of water going or seeping through that particular soil. But when we are speaking of the maximum capacity of water absorption by soil, so it is the total capacity of that particular soil. It's not just that in that particular span what amount of water it will be allowing to pass through it. It's not like that. For the field capacity, what we are doing, that we are taking the whole sum of what is the total amount of water that can be passing, that can be present in that particular soil, and this is known as the field capacity. So which is the maximum capacity of water absorption by soil, and it is known as our field capacity. So next, let us read about the infiltration rate. The rate at which the soil is able to absorb rainfall or irrigation is known as the infiltration rate. So the rate at which the soil will be able to absorb rainfall or irrigation is known as the infiltration rate. So it is another kind of definition for infiltration rate, and it is measured in millimeter per hour or inches per hour. So it is somehow the depth per the time which we are setting. Suppose we are setting 1 hour and we are asked to find out what amount of water will be seeping, rainwater will be seeping in the soil in that particular hour. So the depth will be measured in either in terms of millimeter or in terms of inches, whichever system of unit will be convenient. Infiltrometer is used for the measurement of infiltration. So the device which is used for the measurement of infiltration is known as the infiltrometer. If I is greater than F, runoff occurs. So if the amount of rainfall is somehow greater than the infiltration capacity of that particular soil. Suppose the soil has certain infiltration capacity. Okay, it can allow, just as we were speaking in the previous example, it can allow 20 amount of water inside it. Okay, done. So now if the rainfall is 30, it will be allowing 20. So what will happen to the extra water? It will be running off from the top surface of the soil. Sometimes have you seen in whenever there is a high rainfall, if the rainfall is low, you will not see any kind of water logging or any kind of water running off the drains. but whenever there is some high rainfall, you will be seeing that the water is actually running off from the road or through the drains or somewhat like that. So this is when the runoff occurs. So if somehow the soil gets saturated, that is, if the infiltration capacity, it has reached the infiltration capacity, so the soil will get saturated at one stage. So once when the soil is getting saturated, no extra amount of water will be able to percolate or seep through that particular soil, so that excess water will be running off through the surface. So that is when our runoff occurs. Okay, so if I is greater than F, the runoff occurs. Infiltration rate is connected to hydraulic conductivity. So there's one term known as the hydraulic conductivity. If you want, you can Google the definition of what is hydraulic conductivity, and I will just give you one assignment. You can write the definition of hydraulic conductivity in the comment section. So infiltration rate is connected to conductivity, hydraulic conductivity, and hydraulic conductivity, the definition is over here. But before you read this particular definition, I'll ask you to go through the internet and search for some other good definitions and write it in the comment section. What definition do I have? It is the hydraulic conductivity is the ability of a fluid to flow through a porous medium. So if there is a porous medium available to a fluid, so the hydraulic conductivity will be the ability of the fluid to flow through that particular porous medium. So I have a particular, suppose I have a sponge, okay, and I am pouring some water on it. So of course that sponge will be able to pass that water because it is totally porous. So we can say that sponge has a good hydraulic conductivity. But the same thing, if I am going to try on some other material like brick, so the hydraulic conductivity will be taking place, but it will take somehow more time as compared to that in a sponge, because a brick is less porous as compared to a sponge. So we can say that, however, we can now compare that the hydraulic conductivity of the sponge is more than that of a brick. So it is determined by the size and shape of the pores in the pore spaces in the medium and viscosity of the fluid. So the size and shape of the pores will tell us that whether this medium is having a good hydraulic conductivity or not. And also viscosity will also be another factor which will be influencing that hydraulic conductivity. Suppose we are using somehow a viscous liquid like a jelly or something like that. A water will be passing somehow faster as in a sponge, but if we are putting some jelly like material like that, so that thing will have lesser so the hydraulic conductivity will be affected, because jelly has less viscosity, more viscosity as compared to our normal water. Okay, so this is how that viscosity will be affecting the hydraulic conductivity. Of course, if a material is more viscous, then the fluidity will be reduced for that particular material, that particular fluid. The fluid will having lesser flow velocity as compared to the ones which has lesser viscosity. So of course this is the way how the viscosity will be affecting our hydraulic conductivity. So there's one more definition. It is expressed as the volume of fluid that will move in unit time under a unit hydraulic conductivity gradient through a unit area measured perpendicular to the direction of the flow. So this is a much proper definition, if you can say that, and those who are actually writing the semester examinations of your college or of your institute, you can follow this definition, because this is a good definition for a subjective question. If one is asking you to what is the definition of hydraulic conductivity, this is one of the best possible description of hydraulic conductivity if you are writing a subjective answer. So what it is saying that it is expressed as the volume of fluid, the particular volume of fluid that will move in unit time. So one time is fixed, that is known as our unit time, and the volume of fluid will be measured that will be flowing in that unit time under a unit hydraulic gradient. Of course, you will be maintaining one particular hydraulic gradient. It's not that you are keeping some very huge amount of gradient at one stage and very less amount of gradient at another stage. It won't satisfy the hydraulic conductivity. What it is saying that the hydraulic gradient should be unity. It's a unit hydraulic gradient. The gradient most of the time it should be tried to maintain constant. Then only it will give a proper hydraulic conductivity, and there is some unit area predefined. That is, what is the unit area? That is the total cross section of the, suppose one pore is having one cross sectional area, so that total summation of the cross section area of all those pores, it will give us the unit area measured perpendicular to the direction of the flow. And whenever we are measuring it perpendicular to the direction of the flow, and also the gradient, the area and the time are taken in unity, so this will give us the hydraulic conductivity of that particular volume of fluid. Okay, this is the definition of hydraulic conductivity, but you try to search some more definition and please comment in the comment section that whatever definition of hydraulic conductivity is available to you. Next is the factors affecting infiltration capacity. So there are some factors which will be affecting the infiltration capacity. The first is the slope of the land. So how will the slope of the land affect? The steeper the slope, the gradient, the less will be the infiltration or seepage. So the infiltration, one thing you try to remember that infiltration properly occurs in the case of a flat land or a plain land. But whenever there is some slope in the land, the infiltration will be affected, and the infiltration or the seepage will be somehow lesser if there is some steeper slope present in the particular place. It is because there will be some rise in the ground level. Okay, so for this rise, some extra amount of distance will have to be covered for that particular volume of water. So of course this will induce some extra amount of time for that infiltration, so the infiltration rate will be more in terms of the slope of the land. Next is the degree of saturation. The more saturated the loose earth materials are, the less will be the infiltration. Suppose this figure, you are saying that a paddy field, it is full of water. Okay, this field is full of water, so you cannot expect so that some more amount of infiltration will be taking place if the rainfall occurs. Okay, because we already discussed, if the pores are already filled up with water, there will be no extra space for the extra amount of water to flow through the particular pores. So the pores are already blocked by the already present water. So the degree of saturation is very much important. If the degree of saturation is more, then our infiltration will be less. Next is the porosity. Porosity is the percentage of open space in a earth surface. The percentage of open space in a earth surface is known as porosity. So generally this definition comes to us when we are reading the first chapter of geotechnical engineering or soil mechanics. So we actually go through certain terms which are related to the soil properties. So there we come to know about porosity, and porosity is the percentage of the open space in the earth surface. So greater the porosity, of course the greater will be the amount of infiltration. Just as I gave you the example of the sponge and the clay brick. Okay, as you know that sponge has some more porous, a sponge is more porous as compared to the brick, so more amount of water will be passing through it as compared to the clay bricks. Next is the packing of the soil grains. This is not any factor. The packing of the soil grains, this is how one image is shown, that how the packing of soil grains will be there, and the available pores will be inducing some how the hydraulic conductivity will be taking place, or the infiltration will be taking place in that particular package of soil. So suppose this is the soil which is available to us, okay, and this is the packing, these are the particles, soil particles suppose, and the void spaces are giving us the pores for that particular water to pass through it. So water somehow accumulates over here, then slowly it tries to percolate inside the porous medium, as you are seeing that it is slowly percolating in the third figure. Okay, so this is how the water is seeping or percolating through the soil medium. This is just one diagram for that particular depiction. Next is the compaction. So compaction is that thing when suppose we are putting one roller over the particular ground to compact the soil, or we are making some hammer or rammer to ram that particular soil so as to make it hard. Okay, so the clay surface soils are compacted even by the impact of raindrops, which reduce infiltration. This effect is negligible in sandy soil. So what happens? Clay has a greater compaction. Clay soil has a greater compaction as compared to that of the sandy soil. Okay, so for that reason, even when the rainfall is occurring, the clay soil will be somehow compacted. So if the compaction is done, the pores that are present in that particular soil sample, the pores will somehow, their area will be compressed, okay, and the area of the pores will be reduced because the soil is getting compacted. Okay, so now because of this particular compaction of the soil, the area of that pores will be reduced, and as you know that area of the pores are getting reduced, what will happen? That water will be flowing in lesser amount as compared to the ones which would have flowed in the previous version of the soil before the compaction by this rainfall had taken place. But for the sandy soil, it can be compacted to a certain extent, but further you cannot compact it. Okay, so the compaction is somehow lesser in sandy soil as compared to the our clay soil, and hence the pores, the cross section area of the pores won't be reduced much as compared to that of our clay soil. So therefore the pores, the size of the pores will somehow be more in the case of the sandy soil as compared to the clay soil. So water will be easily percolating through it. Next is the vegetation, or you can say the surface cover condition. So in the surface cover condition, we are also going through some more factors, that is vegetation, land use. Two factors are there, okay, under the surface cover conditions. The vegetation, that is the grasses, trees and other plant types, capture falling precipitation on the leaves. Okay, this we know as interception. Okay, leaves and branches, keeping that water from being absorbed into the earth and take more time to reach in the ground. So suppose if a place has more amount of vegetation, so there will be some more amount of interception. As I said, interception is the term by which interception is that term which is, it is referred to that thing when that rainfall is coming to the earth's surface, and before hitting the ground, the vegetation present over it, like the grasses, trees and all those things, the branches and the leaves of the trees or the grasses, they actually take up that water, and the water is not able to reach the ground surface, and therefore this interception somehow avoids the particular raindrops to reach the soil, and thus will affect our rate of infiltration. Even if it reaches the soil, the roots present in the soil will take up that particular water for their photosynthesis. Okay, so now, so the presence of vegetation in many ways affects the rate of infiltration. Okay, so more the vegetation, slower is the infiltration. Next is the land use. Road, parking lots and buildings create surfaces that are not longer permeable, thus infiltration is less. Suppose you are making a building of concrete, a road of concrete, a road of some aggregates, you are making it, and of course these are not permeable. Okay, so because these are not permeable, the water will not be able to seep through the soil. So therefore land use also affects the our infiltration rate. So more the land use or more the vegetation cover, lesser will be the infiltration rate. Next factor is temperature. At high temperature, viscosity decreases and infiltration increases. So if the temperature is high, the infiltration at the high temperature, the viscosity decreases and infiltration increases. So there is one property of fluid that with the increase, for liquids mainly, for liquids, if the temperature is increased, viscosity is reduced. For gases, it is somehow different, that if the temperature is increased, the viscosity is also increased. But for liquids, if the temperature is increased, the viscosity decreases. So water, rainwater is a liquid. The temperature, in high temperatures, the viscosity of the water is reduced, and if the viscosity is reduced, what will happen? The fluidity, the rate of flow will increase, and therefore the infiltration will also increase. So less viscous fluid will be easily flowing as compared to a more viscous fluid. Okay, so higher temperature will give you less viscosity, and thus more will be the infiltration. So in summer time, what will happen? We will have high temperature, and therefore our infiltration will increase. Whereas in winter we will have lower temperatures and the viscosity will be somehow higher, and therefore the infiltration rate will decrease. So there is one image of furrow irrigation. So this is one assignment for you. What is furrow irrigation and how does it influences the infiltration? Please write it in the comment section. Google it and write it in the comment section. This is one assignment. So what are the other factors? Entrapped air in pores. The entrapped air can greatly affect the hydraulic conductivity at or near the saturation. So if the pores are somehow entrapped with air, some air is present, that air will block the water to come inside it, and thus will the infiltration will be affected. Infiltration will be lesser if the air is entrapped. Quality of water, if the turbidity by colloidal water, if the turbidity is high, of course the infiltration will be less, fluidity will be less. Freezing in winter may lock the pores, right? The pores of the soil will be locked in during the winter season if there is some freezing is happening. Some water is there, previously some water was there, suppose, and in winter when the temperature went really down and freezing took place, the water will be freezing and thus it will lock the pores. So more amount of water cannot enter. So the infiltration will be coming to standstill at that point of time. Annual and seasonal changes according to the change in land use pattern, except for the massive deforestation and agriculture. So there are some other changes, suppose some annual and seasonal changes that are occurring. Suppose people are moving from one place to another, or if there is some difference in the amount of the rainfall or the rate of rainfall that is taking place, or somehow temperature is there. So that will be some giving some changes in the infiltration. So quickly we will be reading about how the measurement of infiltration is taken place. Here we will be reading about infiltrometer and the types of infiltrometer that are used to measure the infiltration rate. So we will be quickly going through the construction and the working of these particular infiltrometers. So infiltrometer is a device used to measure the rate of water infiltration into the soil. And the types of infiltrations, here is a chart. There are two types of infiltration. One is the flooding type infiltrometer, another is the rainfall simulators. So among the flooding type infiltrometer, there are two types of infiltrometers. One is the single ring infiltrometer, another is the double ring infiltrometer. So now what is this flooding type infiltrometer? What are the single and double rings of the infiltrometer? What are rainfall simulators? We are going to read it now. The single ring infiltrometer This consists of a metal cylinder of diameter 25 cm to 30 cm and the length of 50 cm to 60 cm. Here is the diagram, just go through it. So this consists of a metal cylinder of diameter 25 cm to 30 cm and length of 50 cm to 60 cm with both ends open. The length of the cylinder is twice its diameter. It is driven into a level ground. The ground shall be level such that about 10 cm of cylinder is above the ground. So the cylinder's length is 50 to 60 cm with both ends open. Now it should be driven into a level ground such that the 10 cm of cylinder is above the ground. Water is poured into the top part to a depth of 5 cm. So suppose this is the ground and we are putting this infiltrometer inside it, driving it, okay, and we will drive it up to certain length, that is the 10 cm will be above the ground, okay. So it will be a cylinder of, suppose of a length 10 cm, suppose a depth 10 cm cylinder it will be. So out of that 10 cm we will be filling that cylinder up to a depth of 5 cm and the pointer is set inside the ring to indicate the water level to be maintained. So one pointer will be kept so as to indicate and maintain the water level which have to be maintained by us. What's next? Yeah, the single ring involves driving a ring into the soil and supplying water into the ring either at constant head or falling head conditions. The single ring involves driving a ring into the soil and supplying water in the ring either at constant head or falling head conditions. And the constant head refers to the condition where the amount of water in the ring is always held constant, means the rate of water supplied corresponds to the infiltration capacity. So what does the constant head and the falling head refer? Constant head refers to the condition where the amount of water in the ring is always held constant. So the water in the ring, if the water is held constant inside the ring, so it is our constant head, means the rate of water supplied corresponds to the infiltration capacity. And if the falling head is there, it refers to the condition where the water is supplied in the ring and the water is allowed to drop with the time. So if the head is maintained constant, it is the constant head, and if it is dropping continuously, it is the falling head. Okay, and in the case of falling head, the water is allowed to drop with time. The operator records how much water goes into the soil for a given time period. So this falling head will give you the infiltration rate. Okay, so as to what rate is that head is getting filled, so an operator will record the time and what will be the length that is being, what will be the level of water that is being dropped. Okay, so this is how an operator will maintain the record. So this is the diagram, you can note it, go through it. Next is the disadvantages of the single ring or tube infiltrometer. It is also known as the tube infiltrometer. So what is the disadvantage? The major drawback of the single infiltrometer is that infiltrated water percolates laterally at the bottom of the ring. So sometimes what happens, lateral infiltration will also take place, lateral percolation will also take place at the bottom of the ring. So this thing is not allowed now, because what happens that at the bottom of the ring that is in contact with the main ground, main soil. So what happens at that place, some amount of percolation will be taking place. So this will somehow give us some error in our reading. Thus the tube is not truly representing the area through which the infiltration is taking place, right? It will not represent the area through which the infiltration will take place. Next is the double ring infiltrometer, and this is the most common used flooding type infiltrometer, and it consists of two concentric rings driven into the soil uniformly without disturbing the soil to the least to a depth of 15 cm. The diameter of the rings may vary between 25 to 60 cm. An inner ring is driven into the ground and the second bigger ring around that to help control the flow of water through the first ring. So this is the major difference between a single ring infiltrometer and the double ring infiltrometer, that there are two rings. One is an inner ring driven into the ground and there is a second bigger ring around that to help control the flow of water through the first ring. The water is supplied either with a constant or falling head condition, that is dependent upon you, and the operator records how much water infiltrates from the inner ring into the soil over a over a particular period of time. So this thing is not visible, just note it down. You can see the notes. Okay. Over the given time period. Okay. See, here is the text. Sorry for that inconvenience. Yeah, this is the better way of scrolling. Yeah. Okay, this is the diagram. See, there's one inner ring and there's one outer ring. And what happens? The inner ring is the outer ring, the second bigger ring around that to help control the flow of water through the first ring. The water is supplied either at a constant rate or falling rate. Just the previous step will be similar as compared to the single ring infiltrometer. So this is the comparison of the two infiltrometers regarding the seepage at the bottom. Somehow the percolation will be there and you can actually measure this percolation, what is taking place. Next is the rainfall simulators. In this, a small plot of land 2 meter cross 4 meter, 2 by 4 meter of land size is provided with a series of nozzles on the longer side with arrangements to collect and measure the surface runoff rate. The specially designed nozzles produce raindrops falling from height of 2 meter and capable of producing various intensities of rainfall. Experiments are conducted under controlled conditions with various combinations of intensities and durations, and the surface runoff rates and volumes are measured in each case. So this is the total working of the rainfall simulator, and using the water budget equation, the infiltration rate and variation with the time are estimated. Okay, so you are taking a particular piece of land 2 meter cross 4 meter and you are putting some series of nozzles on the longer side with the arrangements to collect and measure the surface runoff rate. Okay, so the specially designed nozzles produce raindrops falling from height of 2 meter. Okay, these nozzles will be pouring some amount of water just like rainfall at a height of 2 meter and capable of producing various intensities of rainfalls. And you can produce some different intensities of rainfall. If you want to take observations for some various other intensities of rainfall, you can do that by changing the intensity of that particular nozzle. And experiments are conducted under controlled conditions with various combinations of intensities and durations. So the experiment will be conducted, suppose there is one particular intensity and pattern of rainfall, and then you are changing the combination and you are increasing the intensity, suppose, and also the durations, and somehow you will mix different sets of observations, and the surface runoff rates and volumes are measured in each case. In each case, the surface runoff rates and volumes are measured, and using the water budget equation, you have this water budget equation: precipitation, runoff, infiltration, evaporation. You can get everything. See, it is given P minus R minus G minus E minus T is equal to delta S. Somehow we are writing the water budget equation in a different pattern, but the main technical know-how is similar, that P will be the precipitation, R will be the surface runoff, G is the net groundwater available, net groundwater flow. Net groundwater flow means it is the infiltration. E is the evaporation, T is the transpiration, and delta S is the change in storage. This is the water budget equation, and you will be using it to get the value of G. So the plot of the land will be 2 meter cross 4 meter. Specially designed nozzles produce rainfalls falling from height of 2 meter. Just revise this. Under control conditions with various combinations of intensities and durations, and the surface runoff rates and volumes are measured in each case, and this is the equation which will be used to calculate the infiltration rate. So this was the summary of the rainfall simulators. Just go through it. This is the diagram of rainfall simulator. Make a note of it, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do. And this is how the flow control is done. This is somehow not that important, but you can just go through it. What are the different parts? Like this is the pump, this is the flow control manometer, some needle valve is there, flow meter is there, and this is the valves are there which are used to control it. Okay. What will be the function of battery? This will be used for the power supply, and here is the nozzle that will be used. So the infiltration rate is the velocity or speed at which the water enters into the soil. It is usually measured by the depth mm of the water layer, and that can enter the soil in 1 hour, or the rate at which the water enters the soil at the surface is denoted by Ft, or function of T. Okay, the cumulative infiltration, the accumulated depth of water infiltrating during the given time period, it is given by capital Ft. So the capital Ft will be obtained by integration of Ft with respect to dt from the limit 0 to t, and Ft is therefore differentiation of capital df with respect to dt. So I'll stop this video over here. In the next part of the video, we will learn about the infiltration equations and the infiltration indices, that is the phi index and W index, and knowledge of this will be very important for drawing hydrographs and all those things. And we will also do some numericals related to this in the next part of the video. Till then, if you have any kinds of doubt, please do not hesitate to write in the comment section. Also, the notes, if you want the notes, the link is given in the description. And please like and share my video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you.